Okay. Uh, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining. Actually, it was at a very last minute we thought that we will do this today. I'm Dr. Rupal, and I'm a pediatrician, and I've been working on maternal infant young child nutrition programs in various parts of India. I started working in slums of Mumbai, and we presented our data one of the cohort in World Breastfeeding Conference. And through our breastfeeding techniques and complementary food, homemade complementary foods, we could decrease malnutrition tremendously. In fact, severe acute malnutrition came down by almost 75% within, when child came to us early on. And also we reduced stunting as well as underweight. And if the children came up to 2 years of age, we could reduce stunting even more. And what I felt that initially it was a learning phase for us. So first 5-6 years were kind of, we were learning on different modalities of breastfeeding, complementary feeding, and we were using sophisticated software actually, which was customized software created by Salesforce, sister company in India. Salesforce is a software company in US. And coming from US, actually, my training is all from US. So over there, we used all this electronic health record, electronic medical record. So for our program, I wanted that kind of sophistication for data collection, documentation. And what we realized that initially when children were, mothers were taught cradle hold, our children were not gaining as good a weight, especially in my experience. So then we kind of improvise on those breastfeeding techniques. And after that, we noticed that children were gaining amazing, almost 30 to 40 grams a day in first 2 months. Some of them were gaining almost 50 grams a day. So we could see a lot of growth catch up, and amazing weight gain. And a lot of the children, because they were from slums, they were born small. They were born 2.5, 2.7 kg, which is your average birth weight. 2.7 kg is average birth weight in India. So in working with the lowest wealth quintile population, our children were even smaller than that. So our focus was really to kind of catch up on their growth in first 3 months, because if you look at your WHO growth chart, the maximum growth of a child occurs in first 3 months. It's the trajectory is really steep. So our goal was to gain good amount of weight on mother's milk, which was very, very important for us. And after that, obviously, once the weight started increasing, the length started increasing beautifully. So I want to kind of just uh, you guys cannot see my face, right? Let me just see if I can show my face also. I don't know how to do that. Uh, okay, anyway, that's okay. So here it's basically, there was a very beautiful study which was done in US, okay, in UC Davis, University of California, Davis. And, in US, because I practice in US also 3 months a year, I practice in US, and we have lactation consultant in pretty much each and every hospital, okay. And even though we have lactation consultant who are trained IVCLCs, our breastfeeding rate is very, very low in America. As you guys know, even in UK, exclusive breastfeeding rate is only 1%. Okay, exclusive breastfeeding rate in UK. And US also, it's pretty low. I think not more than probably 8 to 10%. So, what I figured, like this I figured once I came back to India and started working in underprivileged section, that I struggle with bringing that weight up on mother's milk. It was a struggle for me. Okay. And when I started going back to work in US, I felt that there was the same struggle that mothers were going through in US also, same struggle mothers were going in slums. And we figured probably it was a technicality which was the issue. And once we improvised those techniques, not only mothers in slum, they started gaining weight, but babies started gaining, but even mothers who were giving birth in US, in one of the best center in US in California, they those children started gaining weight also. So that's when I thought that I think it's very important to train everybody on this cross cradle technique with and we also improvise 45 points. I think it would be a good idea to unmute everybody's mic because there's a lot of disturbance and we are recording this session. So if you can unmute everybody, that would be great. Okay, so I'll come to the point. Key point for effective breastfeeding: cross cradle hold. I will demonstrate cross cradle hold also once I start my video. To begin with, especially in India, I think it's really important that we focus on hygiene. Hello. I'm just going to stop sharing and ask everybody to unmute their mic, please. Okay. And I'm going to start my video also so that you can see my face also. All right, and then here.
तो उसमें कुछ इम्प्रूवमेंट हुआ?
Okay, so in India, this is really, really important that, when the mother starts breastfeeding, she has to wash her hand with water, which is cool down, and then wash it with soap and water. And obviously, I do recommend that mothers should drink water because, again, they produce almost 750 to 850 ml like a day. But if you have babies catching up on growth, those babies, they have almost 1 to 1.5 liter of milk every day. So I recommend that mothers definitely should drink 1 glass of water, because what happens is that mothers get so busy with work, taking care of newborn, sometimes probably cooking and taking care of their house and other people in the house, they forget to take care of themselves. And what they forget is they forget to drink water. Okay, now if this mother, especially in hot weather, if she does not have enough water, she will get dehydrated, she'll become very tired, milk supply will go down, and then she will not religiously kind of feed the baby on time. So it's important that mothers drink boiled and cool water. Now, again, this is an Indian context. If I work in underprivileged areas, so I work in tribal areas and slums where don't have access to chair, or they don't have bed in the house. So the best position that I feel is for the mother is to sit down on the floor and basically fold her legs and always find the back support. That back support is very, very important because baby takes some time. I don't go by timing, but it does take a good amount of time to breastfeed the baby. So it's good to have that back support. Make sure to have the shoulders straight, back support, shoulders straight and relaxed, not to kind of curved outside, because if they're curved out kind of inside towards the baby, that means mother is stressed. You don't want mother to be stressed while breastfeeding. So tell her to just relax, have a back support, just relax, and sit on the chair. And another thing what she needs to do is to, before she picks up the baby, she will have to have breast open. Now, one thing what I noticed in India is, and again in a lot of our programs, that mothers would open the button, just maybe 2 or 3 button, and then she will just pull the kind of blouse up with the bra. Now, this is not, I don't recommend this, because what happens, a lot of time this bras and blouses are so tight that they can press on mother's breast, and that can basically block your collecting duct, which kind of gets milk out of the alveoli to to areola. So it's important that mothers don't have any pressure on the breast. So I do recommend that they should wear something which has, which is very loose, kind of what she's wearing over here, or no bra, of course, or if she's wearing a blouse, to remove the blouse completely, to expose the breast completely. And this is really important. Another thing, while she is sitting, she has to make sure that her feet are supported on the ground. Because if her feet are not supported, she will get tired. So if she has a chair, if she's on the bed, if she's on the bed, she can just fold her legs. But if she's sitting on something where the legs are dangling, it's important that she has some support on the for her legs. Now what she has to do is, now she's ready. She's washed her hands, she's sitting down, she drank her water, everything. Now she has to get the baby. Okay, so one thing what I recommend mothers to understand the early hunger cues. Now early hunger cues I'm going to explain to you later on, but a lot of time in India, we have this habit of putting too many blankets around the baby. Baby's tied up very much. Baby has cap, baby has socks and mittens, and they are like wrapped so many times. So I do recommend that when you're ready to breastfeed, you remove a lot of these things. You remove cap, you remove mittens, you basically kind of stimulate baby a little bit. Okay, and you remove the wrap also. Yeah, one cloth is okay, but again I do recommend that mother and baby should have skin to skin contact, and that will help with improving your lactation. Now I do recommend, please request everybody to mute their mic. Samya, can you just tell people, or just put it in the just write a message to them to unmute.
टमाटर की खट्टी चटनी बना दो. हाँ.
Okay.
उसको टमाटर का चोखा बोलते हैं.
Okay, let me just see.
हाँ, फैन बंद कर.
I'm just removing people who are not muting their mic. So I have to remove them because it is very disturbing for me. So I kindly request everybody to mute their mic, please. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. So basically, now baby is ready to breastfeed. Now, a lot of time it happens that babies don't wake up, and I do recommend, at least in the night time, if baby has not breastfed for more than 3 hours, I do recommend mothers to wake up the baby, especially, if you are looking at growth catch up. Daytime you don't need to, but if a lot of time, in first 1 week or so, babies are very, very sleepy. So if baby goes beyond 2 to 2.5 hours, I do recommend mothers to wake up the baby, because otherwise what happens when they wake up with a kind of very strong cry. And when they cry, they wake up crying, those babies are very difficult to latch. So this is my experience in all my program, that I do, of course you wait for your early hunger cues, but if baby is not in like say over 2-3 hours baby is not waking up, it's good idea to just wake up the baby, and this is only for the catch up growth. Okay, so now one of the the best way to wake up the baby is to put the baby in a sitting position. So what in US also, what we do, not only for to waking up the baby, but also for burping, what we do is we basically make up let baby sit on mother's lap. So here I'll just kind of show. So we make baby sit on mother's lap, and then hold baby's front jaw, and put baby's chest supporting on the palm. So this is very important. And another thing is, this one you don't have to do anything, you just have to hold baby's back and full baby supported on your palm. Okay, and you basically kind of pull baby's trunk a little bit towards, so you just flex the trunk a little bit like this, and remember that you should not hold baby's neck. It's not baby's neck, it's baby's jaw. So at the angle of the jaw, your fingers are resting, and then basically, full body support is on your palm. So this is important. And once you do this, believe me, like almost 90% of the babies, they wake up within 2-3 minutes. It's so powerful, it's just mind-blowing. And again, remove a lot of this, remove cap, let them feel a little bit uncomfortable. Once they're a little bit uncomfortable, they'll wake up, and once they open their mouth, what they'll start doing, they'll start showing their early hunger cues. So this is important to how to wake up their baby. Now once the baby is awake, okay, you want to make sure that baby is fully awake, because if baby is not fully awake, they will not open their big mouth. And for our program, it was very, very crucial to have baby's mouth open to almost 120 degree when when they're ready to latch. And that 120-degree latch would come only if baby is widely awake. Okay, so this is important. And now the baby is ready to be fed. Okay, now first thing what I want mothers to do is to start here. Of course, babies, we have to hold baby's neck, but first thing starts with supporting the legs. So here what we do now, this is cross cradle technique. So this is different than what we are taught traditionally in all the programs. And traditionally we do cradle hold. So cradle hold is like this, while as if you're cradling the baby. But in this one, there were some issues that I found, and I'll tell you what issues I found in cradle hold last. But I want to now focus on the cross cradle hold. So in cross cradle hold, what I recommend, the side that mother is going to breastfeed. So for example, I'm going to breastfeed from my left side. So I'm going to keep that hand empty. I don't want that hand to hold the baby at all. Okay. And with right hand, what I'm going to do, I'm going to basically support the legs first. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to put baby's legs under my armpit. Now, this is very important, because what I found in most of the program, that babies are kind of hanging like this, like this. Babies are not supported, and then baby is diagonal. Now, I don't like this diagonal position, okay? Because this is very technical skill that we teach mothers, that you put the baby completely horizontal, okay? Completely horizontal, so that, okay, so just hold on. I'm just going to mute some people. Okay. Thank you. So here, this is important. Again, the baby should be absolutely horizontal. And I want the upper lip to come, say if this is a watch, then I want baby to have upper lip at 3 o'clock position and lower lip at a 9 o'clock position. So this will come only if baby is in a complete horizontal position. Okay. Now this one is again very important. I'm going to stress on this part, is make sure the legs are completely and kind of put in that armpit. Okay. And what I tell mothers, that if baby's a little bit say longer, say taller, then I recommend that baby's hip is sitting on this elbow joint. So here baby's sitting a little bit. So this way what will happen, baby will not slip. Otherwise, a lot of time what happens that mother is trying to latch over here and baby is hanging in there. Now, these are 4 positions that the WHO is recommending, is the full body support. So here you have a complete full body support in cross cradle hold. So it's full body support. Second thing is the baby should be in a straight line. Now, this straight line is this. Okay. Sorry, I have to keep doing this because I get very this thing. So here, now this is important. This position, baby has to be in straight line, because many times what we find that babies are turned this way, and think about it. If we are eating dinner, our plate is always in front of us, and our head, our neck, and your trunk is always in a straight line. We cannot eat, like for example, if you try it right now, if you kind of bend your neck sideways, you will not be able to swallow. It's very difficult to swallow, so it's important that baby's head is not bent this way or any position, exactly straight. Okay. Now here what I find in many programs, that babies are fed like this, where the neck is kind of bent towards the breast, but the trunk is up. The stomach part and the chest part is facing up. Now this will be a wrong position. This is where baby is feeding like this, and baby will not be able to swallow well. So it's important that we keep the head, neck, and the trunk in the same line. And this is very much possible in your cross cradle hold, where make sure that the full body is in straight line, full body is supported, and with this particular position, it will be very easy to have a tummy to tummy. Because again, the third point in WHO positioning is your tummy to tummy. Tummy should be touching the tummy. Okay, so that is important. And the fourth point of positioning in WHO is nose to nipple. Now, nose to nipple is one of the most important part of your cross cradle hold. Okay. Now, what I mean by nose to nipple, in fact, what I mean by nose to nipple is not nose to nipple, but nose near to nipple. Okay, so this is again, I'm going to show you how it should be done. So for example, you're bringing the baby. Okay, now here, this is the breast. Now you don't bring baby directly from nose to nipple. This is nose to nipple, direct nose to nipple here. So this is your nipple and this is your nose. It should not be like this. It should be like this. So what is happening? Baby's opening, nose opening is basically facing the nipple. Now this is very, very effective part of the latching that we saw in all our program when mothers were bringing like this and not straight like this, but more towards other breast and then so that extension of neck was very, very important. Okay, so sorry about that again. So this was important, is to bring the baby nose, like this part of the nose towards the nipple. Now, why this is important? It's important for two reasons. Okay, one thing is that when baby's kind of coming, say nose, near of nose to the nipple, the neck is getting extended a little bit. Do you see over here? Now, why this is important? Why to extend the neck a little bit? Because remember, when we are drinking water, how do we drink water? When we drink water in a bottle, we always extend our neck a little bit and then drink water. Okay. Now, if the head is flexed a little bit like this, we will not be able to drink water. So imagine if we are drinking water like this, we'll never be able to swallow very well. We may be able to swallow 1 or 2 sips, but we have to have an extension of neck. So that extension of neck is really important when you bring the baby to the breast. Okay. And second thing, what happens when you extend the neck a little bit, automatically baby opens a big mouth. Okay, so that we have experienced in our program, that anytime when we extended the neck and if the baby was hungry, immediately open the big mouth. So that is important, is you bring the baby to the nipple, but not directly on the nipple, not right straight on. Baby should be kind of little bit towards the other breast, extend the neck, and then bring the nose to the nipple. Okay, so this is one of the important part of your latching. So the 4 point of your 4 point of positioning was straight line. So baby is in straight line. Okay, head, neck, and trunk in straight line. Full body support. Okay, so you put that put your legs in the armpit on the opposite side. Full body support. When you're putting the fingers on the head, make sure that you don't put fingers like this. What will happen when you do this? Imagine when you're eating food and somebody's putting head and flexing your head like this. You will not like it. Okay, so don't do that. Make sure that you don't kind of push baby's head straight on like this. You just hold the baby behind your ears. Behind your ears you have a bone called mastoid bone. You hold your baby's head from mastoid bone. Okay, so that baby has this flexibility of flexion and extension. This is really important. One more thing which is important is don't hold baby from the neck over here, because over here we have very important coronary, we have this carotid artery, we have jugular vein, we have all these different veins and arteries. So you don't want to touch any of those neck areas. So no holding baby from neck. It should be from head. Okay, but nothing should be on the head. So it should not be like this. Okay, so this is important. Now you're ready. Now it's time to hold the breast. Now think about it, that you have something which is like, in pregnancy, mother's breast become big, right? There's a lot of increase in size of breast, which is part of your pregnancy, right? Now you have and especially on day 2, day 3, actually, when the milk starts coming in, the areola is very, very big. Okay, and my focus is that lower areolar latch, which also WHO recommend that it should be lower areolar latch. So you will have to press the breast. Very, very important. Very, very important that mother has to press the breast. Now, how do we hold that breast, which is important? Now, think about it, that I give a very good example in one of the tutorial that we have created at IIT Bombay. Is like when you have something in front of you that you want to put it in the mouth. Okay, so I give example depending upon the region you are. So sorry about that again. Okay. Okay, so here what we do is I asked mothers to imagine that she's putting something big in the mouth. Okay, so for example, in Mumbai, we get something called batata vada or aloo vada. We get something like burger or anything, you know, or sandwich. Okay, so when you have a big sandwich, say 4 layers of bread and then a tomato, potato, all that chutney, everything in the middle. And I'm asking mother that, okay, I'm giving you this big sandwich and I want you to have a good all layers together. And I asked her to try to eat it. The way she would eat it is basically she would take that sandwich in the hand, okay, and then she will basically have her fingers parallel to her lips, okay, and then she will press it, and then she'll take a big bite. Okay, so this is very important that basically sandwich will be in her front of her mouth, okay, and she'll be holding her fingers parallel to her lips. This is very important in the latch and the latch part, because if you get this latch part right, you know, your babies will guarantee gain to good amount of weight. Okay, so here what we do, because now baby is coming horizontally, okay, horizontally, that means here this is baby is coming horizontally like this. Here lips are vertical, right? Lips are vertical. So now what we tell mothers, you hold the sandwich or your breast so that one finger is parallel to upper lip and the other finger is parallel to lower lip. Okay, so whichever position baby comes in, like for example, in say in football hold, baby comes in like this, baby comes in like this, right? Here like this, and baby's coming like this. So here in football hold, baby comes like this. So mother has to, I don't kind of say U shape or C shape to mothers because it becomes very difficult for them to understand. I just tell them, you put basically fingers such that upper finger or the thumb is close to the upper lip and the lower fingers are close to the lower lip, right? So when you press the breast, it becomes much easier for baby to put a big you know, areola in the mouth. Okay, now here suppose baby is like this. Now this is your cross cradle hold. Okay, in cross cradle hold, remember baby is coming horizontally. Here baby is coming horizontally. So in horizontal position, either mother can hold the breast from top, okay, or baby mother can hold the breast from down. Very important. Okay, so I prefer that mother hold the breast from down because I need to see whether baby has opened the big mouth, where exactly is the nose of the baby. So I don't recommend that baby mother should hold the breast from top, because here this will obstruct my view. Okay, so I tell mothers, okay, now baby is ready to latch, you hold the breast from below, and then she has to press it, because if she doesn't press it, if she keeps holding it, then she will baby will not be able to latch. Deep attachment is very, very important. Okay, and deep attachment, what deep attachment? Lower areola, not the upper areola, lower areola, and I'll tell you why it is important. Okay, so now the way I tell mothers to hold the breast, suppose this is the side that she's going to breastfeed, okay, and baby is coming like this. Okay, now for me, this part of areola, which is near baby's lower lip, this part should go in baby's mouth, this particular, because if she baby only presses on nipple will not have any milk. Collecting duct, you know, the duct where all the milk is sitting is basically it's under the areola. So baby has to have at least the lower part of the areola. The reason why we call lower part of the areola, because again, it's very, very important. Think about it, that when you putting something in your mouth, when you're eating something, how do you eat? Like where would you put your food in the mouth? It would be at the lower jaw. Why? Because we are moving lower jaw. We are eating like this. We are not moving your upper jaw at all. When you're moving your lower jaw, that means your food has to be put on the lower jaw. Then with that pressure, you will be able to chew that food very well. It's the same concept in babies also. Please remember this, because a lot of time I see mothers putting the whole areola in the mouth, that the areola which is up above the nipple is waste. It's a total waste. Baby cannot press so hard to bring that collecting duct milk out. Okay, so you focus that the upper lip should be just above the nipple. So here, if the baby is coming, I want the upper lip just to be over here and the lower lip at the border or even beyond the border. Okay, so I want this latch, not this latch. this latch, and the lower lip at the border and or beyond the border. If the areola is small, then you bring the lower lip even on the breast. So this is important. So here, and one more thing is important is like when the mother is holding the breast. Okay, now think about it. See how I'm holding the breast. Here, this side I'm breastfeeding on left side. So here, what is happening? Okay, I'm putting my finger, my thumb at 3 o'clock position. Remember the clock part, okay? And another finger at 9 o'clock position. Now remember the tip of the finger should come at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock position. Tip of the finger. Sometimes what I see mothers are doing this way. This is not, this is 2 o'clock position and 10 o'clock position. This is not right, because what will happen now, you're basically obstructing your areola. Do not obstruct your areola. That areola needs to go in baby's mouth. Okay, so you bring your hand down. Okay, and one more thing which is important, when you're holding in a U shape, this particular the dip of U is at the 6 o'clock position. Okay, so here's a 6 o'clock position. This is your 12 o'clock position of the clock. Okay, so if a lot of time what happens, mother hold like this. Do you see like this? The fingers are at 9 o'clock, but your dip is coming at around 5 o'clock. This is not correct. So you tell mother to adduct the hand. Adduct means to push the hand inside the shoulder joint, okay, close to the body, and then it will be much easier to have a proper U shape. And another thing which I noticed in many of the programs, that a lot of time the mothers hold very close. It becomes like a V shape. It should not be V shape. It should be minimum 3 fingers here and 3 fingers over here. Okay, away from the nipple. 3 fingers over here, 3 fingers over here. And this is how, and then once she holds it, she will have to press it. Because if she doesn't press it, then this lower areola will not go in the mouth. A lot of time mothers hold it, but they don't press it. So it's important that she presses really well. Okay, now baby is ready to latch. Now, one thing which we always struggle is to to make baby open a big mouth. Okay, isn't it a problem? Because all the mothers, when I talk to them on the phone, they say baby is not opening the mouth, baby is not opening the mouth. But there are 2 tricks that I already mentioned to you. Which are the 2 tricks I mentioned? One is how to, when you extend the neck a little bit, baby will automatically open the mouth, okay, when baby is hungry. And second thing is, you stimulate the upper lip with the nipple. Okay, so when baby is coming to the breast, you basically little bit, you stimulate the upper lip with the breast, and immediately baby will open the mouth. Now, this is again very, very important, because Okay, so this is another thing is that opening the big mouth. Now, a lot of time what happens, if baby is not held properly from the head, so in small babies or under 2 months of age, the neck control is not there, right? When the neck control is not there, what happens? Baby's head is not supported well, right? So then it becomes very difficult for mother to push the baby in as soon as baby opens the mouth. And it's like hunting, right? When you're hunting say anything, right? And suddenly you see a bird flying and immediately you'll hunt. So it's just like that. It takes fraction of a second for baby to open the mouth. So if mother is not kind of very vigilant when baby opens the mouth, mother will miss it. So it's important that mother keeps looking at the baby, keeps stimulating, and as soon as baby opens the mouth, immediately push it in. Okay, this is like it's a skill. So you have to teach the mother that focus on that, keep away that phone, keep away people, don't get bothered by anybody else, because when she's distracted, she will not notice when baby has opened the mouth and she will miss it. Okay, so that was one important thing that that is, I wanted to explain. Okay, now let's see, this I explained. This is how a baby should be held from the head. Okay, here baby is in a straight line, tummy to tummy. Here, nose, like the nair should be at the line of nipple. Okay, and one more thing which is very, very important is always bring the chin forward. So chin forward means extension of the neck. This is called chin forward. So when you're bringing the baby to the breast, you bring your chin forward and forehead back. Okay, this is called chin forward. Now there is another one which is very important. Now in US we use this. We call it 2-point latch. What is 2-point latch? 2-point latch means when baby is ready to open the mouth. Okay, so you latch this first, the lower lip first, and then the upper lip. Okay, so you basically do this. So lower lip first point. Okay, so that's what you do. This is the 2-point latch. We do it in US. Okay, and this I also explained that how should be the U hold. Look at this. The dip of the U should be at 6 o'clock position. Okay, it should be around 3 fingers away. This is your clock, 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock position, right? And here basically fingers should be 3 fingers away. Okay, if it's too close, then only nipple will go in the mouth. If it's too far, then the areola will not become small. So this is important. Okay, and again, you remember your upper lip should have, your baby's upper lip has 1 finger over here, mother's finger, and lower lip will have another finger over here. So basically your mother's fingers are parallel to baby's lips. So in any position, imagine if mother is sleeping and feeding the baby, okay, in a sideline hold. I love that hold, sideline hold, one of the best hold actually. Okay, in that hold also, you have to see where baby's lips are. Okay, so if baby is sleeping in the sideline hold, you will have to kind of figure out where the upper lips and lower lips are, and you press areola over there, and you know, baby will have beautiful latch. Also, one more thing, in that hold, you want to make sure that you know, you're not I think I'll just keep my other thing, I can't see my video. Okay, so you'll have to make sure that you know, baby's not too high up. Baby has to be a little bit towards the lower side. Okay, because if it's baby is on the little bit on the lower side, then baby will be able to extend the neck and will be able to have a good grasp of lower areola. Okay, here I have explained how to open the big mouth. One is the extension of the neck. Okay, another one is the stimulation of the upper lip. Okay, and once, as soon as the stimulation upper lip, first is your lower areola latch, and then is the upper areola latch. Okay, and the upper lip should be sitting just on the upper border of nipple, and the lower lip should be sitting at the border or at beyond areola, if the areola is very small. Because in many, like in Primigravida, I see a lot of mothers, you know, especially if they are very thin, right? The areola is very small. So you cannot have just, and sometimes the areola is so small that it's okay to have the full areola in the mouth. I'm not against full areola, but make sure there is an asymmetrical latch. Okay, asymmetrical latch is very important, where the lower part is more in the mouth and the upper part is less. Okay, now suppose now the latch is good. Okay, a mother has latched the baby, but you will have to examine. Okay, the way you examine is, okay, I'm trying to get my video. So here, what the way I examine the latch is, suppose you're breastfeeding the baby. Okay, now you as a lactation consultant or a pediatrician, you will have to see whether latch is good or not. Now there are 4 points of latching that you need to see. Okay, I have added 2 more, but you know, let's talk about what are the important points of latching. First is the mouth has to be absolutely big. Now this is a WHO criteria. The mouth has to be absolutely big. We have made it very objective. How much should be the mouth opening? 120 degree. So if you have a 120 degree or more big mouth, that baby will have an absolutely good latch. Okay. Second point, let's talk about the mouth is over. Now this is the lip. Now my important point for lower lip is the location. That location is very, very important for me. So I want that lower lip to be at the border over here, or I want lower lip to be even beyond the border. Okay, if the lower lip is say in the middle of the areola, that means a part of areola is still lying outside. So please look at the location of the lower lip, and once the latch is good, your lip is going to be outward. You know, that is not the issue that I saw in our program. We have monitored about 10,000 babies. I did not see that much of a problem that the lip is inside outside. You know, the latch, if the baby is in an extended head position, the lip will be by and large will be out. But I want to look at the location, that where is this lower lip located in baby's mouth. Okay, all right. And third thing is your chin. Now chin I want extremely embedded in the breast. Okay, now I don't know how many of you have ever seen anybody removing milk from cow or buffalo. The way they remove milk is they put the areola up, like up and then down, up and down. So here, in same thing happens in mothers also. What I want you to do is to focus when the baby is latching, but the baby should be embedded so much into the breast that the lips and the chin should not be visible. because if the lips and chin are visible, that means baby does not have a deep attachment. You want that very deep attachment where baby is removing all that milk which is present in the collecting duct under the areola. Okay, so make sure that when you look at the latch, you will have to, because the latch is sometimes so deep that you will not be able to see the lips or the lower lip or the chin. So what I want you to do is to basically press the breast, where the lower lip is. So if suppose baby is over here, I will ask you to press the breast near the lower lip to look at the size of the mouth, the big size or the big widening of the mouth, and where the lower lip located on the areola. So those are the two things I really look in the latching. Okay, and the fourth part, which is very important, which will be very possible if you bring the baby correctly on the breast, and that is your asymmetrical latch. So asymmetrical latch means WHO recommends that the upper areola should be visible and the lower areola should not be visible, right? Because the lower areola is in the mouth. So obviously the upper areola, which is not in the mouth, will be visible. So that's your fourth point of latching. So these are the 4.5 points which I want you to examine. Plus, you need to teach mothers, because in hospital or in the office, you will be sitting and you will be looking at the latch. But once she goes home, she has to know what she has to look, right? So this 4-5 points that I want you to show to mother, that you press your breast over here near the lower lip and tell mothers to see all these points. Okay, just write it down for her so that she doesn't forget. Okay, so that is very, very important. And once you examine the latch, you tell the mother that baby has to be again pressed very much deep inside, so that she can mother can mother should not be able to see the lips and the chin at all in baby. Okay, all right, so that was my yeah, one more thing. Now sometime what happens if the breast is very big? Now a lot of time we are seeing a lot of obese mother, because I deal with a lot of American mothers too in US, and they have huge breast, right? So many times what happens when the baby has very good latch, we tell mothers to bring their hand, okay, out, and then put the hand over here, right? But make sure that this hand is not, you don't release the right hand from baby's head. This hand should be supporting the neck, okay? But this hand can come and basically kind of encompass the baby like this. So it becomes like a cradle hold, but you're still holding the baby in a cross cradle. Okay. Now, another thing what you want to do is the shoulder joint. So look at mother's shoulder joint. They should be completely adducted. Adducted means they are completely should be inside. Okay. And should not be hanging outside, because this is very painful. Okay. So you make sure that mother bring her hand over here. And one more thing here, you want to make sure that if mother has a little bit bigger breast, not so much, then she can support this breast with her hand. She will be able to support her breast so that breast doesn't come out of baby's mouth. Now many times what happens, if suppose the breast is so big, okay, then what you may need to do is, so you tell mother that you continue holding the breast, okay, but you will have to give some support under mother's left hand. So if mother is feeding from the left side, she will need some 2-3 pillows under her hand so that she doesn't. Empathy is very important in breastfeeding counseling. Remember that, empathy. Okay, the empathy means you have to look at mother's comfort. If mother is not comfortable, she will not be able to breastfeed so frequently. She will get tired and oxytocin level will go down and baby will not get enough milk. Okay, so the empathy is important, and think of all the comfort levels. Okay, so that was your important point. Now this is your good latch. Okay, and look at that lower completely in baby's mouth, and this is your poor latch. In poor latch, what happens is basically your lower areola is very much outside baby's mouth. So this lower latch has to go. And then when you have a superficial latch, see, this is superficial latch. So what is happening is your nipple is basically getting crushed against the hard palate. Okay, so you don't want that nipple to get crushed against the hard palate. It has to be, the nipple should be touching all the way kind of at the border of your greater palate and the hard palate and the softer palate. Okay, and one more thing I've noticed, that many babies, when you look at the latch, it may look good from outside. Okay, if you have not examined the latch properly, because suppose baby is too close to the breast, and you may feel, oh my god, baby looks like a big mouth and all, but baby has dimple. Now, when you have a dimple, when baby has dimple, means the latch is incorrect. Okay, and there are many causes of improper latch. Okay, All right. So this is important that baby should have should not have dimple at all. And what are the causes of a dimple? One is only nipple is in the mouth. Okay. Second thing is when baby has more of a upper areola. When baby has more of upper areola, and if the lower areola latch is not there, baby will have a dimple. Okay. And the third point, if baby is too far, okay, even if baby has a good lower areola latch, but if baby is too far, means both the lips are showing, chin is a little bit away, that time baby will have to work very hard to get milk out. Okay, and that baby will get tired out. So remember that baby should not have dimple. If there is any dimpling, then you will have to relatch the baby. Okay, so this is important. Okay, now some important point, this are part of our 45 point of counseling, because okay, you taught mother how to breastfeed, how to latch, how to do all that, you have shown how, but now there are important counseling points that you need to teach mothers. Okay, which are those important points? That the first part of milk which comes from each breast is basically your watery and high protein milk. Okay, it's a watery milk, it's a little bit transparent, translucent, I would call it. But you have to teach mothers that if baby gets only superficial part of the breast, okay, that superficial milk, that milk does not have enough fat. Okay, now fat in mother's milk is extremely high in very good, I would say omega-3, your DHEP is very high in your fatty part of the milk. Your saturated fat, your medium chain triglyceride, those are very, very high in your fatty portion of the milk. Okay, and those are important not only for baby's weight gain, but for brain. Think about it. All these fats, baby's brain is made up of fat, right? Your myelination, which is occurring, which is all fat, right? Your saturated fat, your cholesterol, everything. So you just make sure that baby has good amount of posterior hind milk. And the way we tell mothers to check for posterior milk is by examination. We don't tell mothers that, okay, if you think that breast is finished, or if breast is empty, you go on the other side. No, that's very subjective. We don't tell mothers to be subjective, we tell them mothers to be objective. How do you tell mothers to be objective? We tell mothers, you press the breast, you do a little bit of manual compression. Okay, the way we do manual compression, this is also very, very important, because most of the nurses, they don't know how to do manual compression. What they do is they just press the breast like this, they just press it. This is not correct. Okay, what we need to do, we need to tell them press, compress, release. What is press, compress, release? You put the fingers just two fingers away, you put your fingers over there. Okay, in any position, does not matter, you see, whichever, it's all around areola. Okay, and then you tell mother to press towards the chest, compress, release, press, compress, release. Okay, so that press, compress, release is very, very important, because if nurses don't teach proper press, compress, release, what will happen? Mothers will not get enough milk, and she will freak out. She'll say, oh, I don't have enough milk, I don't have enough milk. That's not correct. Okay, so you teach all the nurses how to do press, compress, release, and all the mothers also towards the chest, press, compress, release, press, compress, release. Okay, and what we are looking at, suppose if the mother is getting just say watery milk. Okay, if mother is getting very watery milk, then that watery milk, that means mother still has a hind milk sitting in the back of the breast. So you tell mother that you need to feed the baby on the same side if baby has come off, or if baby has slept off. I'll talk about what to do if baby slept off, but make sure that baby gets the full hind milk, or completion of one breast is very, very important. Now, a lot of time when we press the breast, they have amazing amount of spray of hind milk coming out. Now, how do you know it is the hind milk? Hind milk will be thick, it'll be opaque, and it'll be really, really thick. It'll be like a creamy milk that we see when we get this really thick buffalo milk. So if mother is getting the good spray, that means mother still has a lot of hind milk sitting in there. So I still recommend mothers to continue breastfeeding on the same side. Now, if she has only few drops coming in, just a hind milk, but just maybe 4 or 5 drops coming in, that means that breast is completely empty, and then she can breastfeed on the other side. But this hind milk is extremely important for baby's brain. And if you want your child to have increased IQ with amazing good weight gain, that completion of one breast is absolutely important. Okay. And a lot of time what happens with babies, when you breastfeed on one side, small babies go to sleep, or many times even the older babies, they just fall off to sleep. The way we wake up the baby is basically by stimulating their toes, or we basically, what we do is we kind of stimulate their spine. So here we kind of tickle them around the spine. We also tickle them behind the back. And a lot of time what happens, if despite of doing everything, they don't wake up. So what we do, we basically kind of get the child off the latch. But what we do, we don't pull the baby off, because when you pull the baby off, they have a very good suction that they have created around the areola. So we don't break the suction by pulling the baby off. What we do, we tell mothers with her clean fingers to open the jaw, to put her little fingers between the mouth, between the jaw, and then open that, basically break that suction. That baby has created the vacuum. You break that suction and then release the suction and then bring the baby out. Because if she doesn't do that, then what will happen, we will have a lot more, like mother will have a nipple sore, and we don't want nipple sore. We don't want anything which will cause problems in a mother's breast. Okay, so that's important. And then once the baby comes off, then again you make the baby sit. So if you make the baby sit in a sitting position with a little bit of flexion of the trunk, okay, and right away, believe me, within 1 or 2 minutes, she will burp, baby will burp, and then she will open the big mouth. Not only big mouth, but she'll open her eyes. So she will open her eyes, she'll look around, and she'll look for, like, where did that breast go? Where am I'm feeding? What happened? Right? So you want to again wake up the baby and put the baby on the same side if the hind milk is there. And if hind milk is not there, you put the baby again on the other side. The reason we don't recommend putting baby like this, because what happens when you put the baby like this, a lot of time it's so comforting for the baby that baby goes to sleep, mother goes to sleep, and basically baby end up taking just maybe one side or just maybe 50% of milk. And again, in our experience, what we have noticed that babies, they most of the time they drink from both sides, most of the time, not necessarily emptying both the breast, but at least one side emptying and other side at least initial fod milk. So it's important that we breastfeed the baby on both sides. Now, a lot of time, if baby is not hungry, baby will not open the mouth. We have to try it for 3-4 minutes. And if baby is not opening the mouth after trying for 3-4 minutes, even 5 minutes, that means baby is full. You don't need to force feed the baby. So no force feeding, but you offer the baby, at least mother should offer the baby. Okay. Okay. So here, these are the hunger cues. What are the hunger cues to begin with? A lot of time they will open their mouth, they will squirm. I think first the squirming, they'll open the mouth, then they'll basically try to look for the breast. So they'll open their mouth and look. Then they'll, put their fingers in the mouth. They'll have a little bit of salivation, which is important. And once they have all that, and then in the last, they'll cry. So if the mother is waiting for baby to cry, that means it's already too late. So don't wait till that time till baby is crying, because you have already missed 30-40 minutes of it. Okay. One more thing which is important, that a lot of time mothers ask me, for how many minutes should I breastfeed on each side? Now, I never give time, because in our program, what we notice many times, if the baby sucking is very good, if they suck very good, they finish empty the one breast in 5 minutes, 7 minutes maximum. Okay. Sometimes if babies are very slow, they are either kind of very sleepy, or they're small, or their tone is not very strong, then they may take sometime much longer. So I tell mothers, don't go by timing. Just go whether the baby has emptied the breast or not, and then put the baby on the other side. Baby, if baby is hungry, will take it, but don't go by timing, because that's not the correct way. Okay. We had one mother whose baby was gaining almost 1.2 kg a month, almost 3 kg a month. And she came and she was very, very upset. She said that baby has only 5 minutes over here, 5 minutes over here, and done. I don't think I'm getting enough milk. And when we looked at the weight, baby had gained almost 1.3 kilogram in a month. And that's what we had to explain to her, that don't go by timing. It's basically baby has such good sucking strength of the mouth that baby is completing just a whole breast within maybe 4-5 minutes. All right, so that is important. A lot of time what happens when you put the baby on the breast, and if baby is coming directly on the breast without any extension, what happens? The nose get pressed. Okay, when you have that situation where the nose is getting pressed, do not pull the baby out. What you can do is to just extend the head a little bit. So when you extend the head a little bit, then what will happen? The nose will come out and the chin will go in. So that is very important. Nose, nose out and chin inside, but do not pull the baby out completely. Okay. And how many times would you breastfeed the baby? At least for first 2 months, I do recommend 10 to 12 times, in 24 hours. So, 8 time, yeah, after 2.5 months, 8 time is okay. But as I felt that, because we were working on catching up the growth, those 2 more times was really helping to get baby's weight up faster. Okay. And then after 2 months, 3 months, baby will not have 8 to 10 times. They will have probably 6 times or even 7 times, depending upon how strong the baby is. Now, in our program, our average weight at 6 months is around 8 to 9 kilogram. Okay. So those babies, they will have such good sucking power that they take just 6 times after 2-3 months of age. So it all depends upon the baby, not on us. But again, first 2 months, you get that latching properly, you get that frequency very well, and make that back. And most of this baby double their weight by 2.5 months in a program anyway, and that's what WHO also shows, that within 3 months, most of these babies, they double their weight, provided, your baby was on pretty good size. Okay. And if they are small babies, then they put on even more weight. So those babies, they double their weight by 2 months of age, so that's important. Now, nighttime feeding is very important, because in nighttime what happens, the prolactin hormone, which is which improves your milk production. Okay. That is very, very high at night. So babies who feed at night, they are very chubby. In our program, we also saw that babies who are feeding 2, 3, 4 times at night, or sometimes babies are night feeders, those babies do very well. So you tell mothers not to worry about it, just feed as and when baby needs it. Now, there is something called cluster feeding. What is cluster feeding? Cluster feeding is basically sometime in the evening time, baby feeds every hour. Okay, baby wake up and every hour baby needs to be there. Okay, but at night time, then they will sleep for good 4-5 hours. Now that cluster feeding is absolutely common, very normal, nothing to worry about it. You tell mothers, this are cluster feeding. It's a phase. It may last for 3-4 weeks and it will go away. Okay, so if baby is doing cluster feeding, do not worry at all. And if baby is not waking up after cluster feeding, that's absolutely normal also. Okay. So, and nipple condition, there is one thing I wanted to talk about, nipple condition, because we do have a lot of mothers who have flat nipple, or they have very big nipple, or they have, inverted nipple, retractile nipple, all those, and like again, in past 15 years, I have not used any syringe. I have not used any nipple shield. Nipple shield is, I think it should be banned, because what happens when all these babies, they come to us from private practice, where they do prescribe nipple shield. Nipple shield is nothing but an artificial nipple. Okay, you basically putting a patch on mother's breast, creating an artificial nipple. Okay, and babies have so much of confusion, it's unbelievable. And 2 times that I was unsuccessful in latching the baby directly was just 2 babies who came to us at around 1.5 months of age. They were still the nipple shield latching, and we just could not get that nipple shield out. And unfortunately, mother's supply went down, and mother had to start formula. So I do request everybody to not to worry about the flat nipple or retractile nipple or inverted nipple, because remember, babies do not latch on nipple. The lower lip is not on the nipple. The lower lip is on the areola border. So focus on the areola. Do not focus on the nipple. Okay, because when you press it in a way that the whole thing becomes like a big nipple, it will go in baby's mouth and they'll be able to take a bite. Okay, so create that bite for the baby. That bite, creating bite is very important. Okay, and in all these nipples, even with nipples or without nipples. So this again, I've mentioned about the flat and retracted, and believe me, cross riddle works very well for flat nipple. And here I want to show you one video. This is really important video. This is a nipple latch. Okay, baby presses on nipple, look at the amount. And this is where they have a very good pressing of areola. So look at the difference. This is very, very remarkable, and I show it to all our AAAs, Anganwadi Asha worker. Unfortunately, in India, most of the babies are nipple latching, and that's why they're not gaining enough weight. What is enough weight for me? Enough weight is you go as per WHO percentile growth chart. So as per WHO growth chart, the first week weight gain is 100 grams, first week. Now, what we were taught in pediatric that babies tend to gain weight at 2 weeks of age. No, that's not true. Okay, by first week, baby has to gain weight 100 grams from the birth weight. Okay, and the second weight gain is 300 grams. So 300 grams is pretty much almost 42 grams weight gain per day. So I strictly follow those WHO growth chart, and if baby is not gaining at least minimum 30-35 grams, I will go back and teach that latch again to the mother. I'll go back and teach those 45 points to mother. So I do not leave that mother till I get that amazing 30 to 40 grams. 30 is also less for me because 30 grams weight gain will again bring the baby down. Okay, so there'll be growth stagnation and there'll be growth faltering. Okay, so again, this is nipple latch. Now this is true even in America. Even in America, most of these babies are nipple latching. So what happens is doctors, then they start them on formula powder, they start on other, the soya milk and all that, and they have other problems. But in India, what happens is basically we are not focusing on a lower areola latch, and that's why these babies are becoming malnourished. So if you want to remove malnutrition in under 6 months of age, I strongly recommend that we work on, this lower areola latch. Okay, now this is one baby. Okay, now look at the position. Neck is a little bit sideways, so I prefer the shoulder comes below the neck over here. Okay, now here the latch, somebody is looking at the latch and see how she's pressing on the breast to see where the lower areola is or the lower lip is, how big is the mouth. So this is how we examine the areola latch. Okay, this is another very good video. Here, this is a cross cradle hold. Two things which are kind of, you will see in this video, and then I'll talk about it. So did you see this? Okay, baby was rotated outward. Okay, so what healthcare worker did, basically pushed the baby so that baby's kind of chest was completely kind of jut in mother's chest. Okay, one more thing is this hand can come off this breast. Okay, third thing what I would have checked or I would have kind of improved on this baby, I would have pulled this baby down towards the other breast, because look at this, baby's come straight on. I don't want the straight on coming onto the breast. I want a little bit of extension of the neck. Then the extension would occur only if you're pulling the baby more towards the other breast. Okay, so then the extension will occur, and then you will have very good swallowing in that baby. Okay, so the three things that I would have changed this mother. Okay, this is, I think, Dr. Anita had shared on BPNI group, and I love this video. Okay, here what is happening, I think what she has done, she is holding the baby in a cross cradle hold. Look at her finger, her hands over here. Here, this is the inverted nipple. Okay, and what she's doing, she's keeping her fingers parallel to baby's lips. You see how she's making it very small, creating a bite. Do you see how she created a bite? Once that bite was created, then baby latched on to that bite. Okay, and this is a beautiful video. Only thing now, I wish we had taught mother how to do this from below. Okay, because she could have used his hand to press the breast from underneath, then she would have become much more comfortable to go home, because here she doctor is helping over here, but once she goes home, she won't have anybody to help her to hold the breast like that. Okay, so this is again very important. I'm going to show again one more time. Okay, so here, look at this. Very beautiful extension of neck. You see it, right? And here she's creating a bite. This is a bite that she's creating. And then once baby opens a big mouth, which is a big, look at the mouth, big size mouth, and she got that bite in the mouth. Okay, so that's what we need to do, is to create this bite. And that bite will be created only if your fingers are parallel to baby's lips. Only then you will be able to create that this thing. And we have all this skill-based tutorial on our health spoken tutorial IIT Bombay, and you can watch it. Okay, now I'm going to take questions if you have any questions. Please go ahead and let me know.
Hi, Rupal.
Hi.
So you had been mentioning like if breast milk is over. So my question is, how do we know that one side breast milk got over?
Okay, so as I mentioned, what I tell mothers to do little bit of manual expression. Okay, now I don't like giving pumps to mother because in US we have created a lot of issues by providing pump to all the mothers who get discharged. Okay, so I don't recommend giving pumps to mother except if mother is going back to work within 2 weeks of birth. If she is going back within 2 weeks of work, then obviously she will need to remove that milk as much as possible, and it's kind of convenient. Or if baby is admitted in the ICU and ICU, and if she needs to continue removing that milk, I still feel that first 1 month manual expression is the best way. I do not recommend pumping, but here what we do is manual expression. You basically what you do is you press. So here this is press against the breast or against the chest, compress, release. Against the breast, you go back, press, compress, release. And if suppose the milk is watery, suppose watery milk is basically your for milk. So we do recommend that once mother sits for milk, that she has to get the hind milk out, okay, to put the baby on the same side. I want the full hind milk to go in baby's stomach, because that that saturated fat, that omega-3 fat, that medium chain triglyceride fat, those are extremely important for baby's brain. Okay, so we make sure that they do objective examination. Objective examination is by checking by manual expression what kind of milk is coming. If it's watery milk, then still go back on the same side. If it's hind milk, if it's thick milk but coming in force, that means again go back on the same side. Okay, if it's only a few drops coming, that means that the breast is empty. Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, hi Rupal, good to see you.
Yeah,
I just
hi.
wanted to ask you, yeah, hi, long time. Okay, I'm not sure that I missed it, but how do you deal with cracked nipples?
Yeah, so again, if you have a cracked nipple, Harvinder, that means baby is superficially latching. Okay, you have to find the root cause, because unless we find the root cause, you will not be able to treat. Yes, what we recommend is to apply hind milk to that breast, to the breast, to the nipple, so that hind milk works pretty well and it cures. But at the same time, I want to make sure that the latch is improved, because nipple sore is 100% superficial latch. When you have a superficial latch, the mother is going to get nipple sore. So you have to fix that problem first, and then basically put all these other things that would help. But yeah, that mother's own milk, applying mother's own hind milk will help. Okay,
Right, thank you.
thanks. Okay.
Rupal, is this applicable for a twin pregnancy as well? I mean, the twin babies as well?
Yeah, so in twin baby, what I recommend to keep one breast for one baby, another breast for another baby. Okay, so that is called tandem, like tandem. You breastfeed both of them at the same time. I prefer, of course, football hold, because in football hold, you can breastfeed babies both at the same time. But what happens when you keep one breast for one child? That baby completely empties that. Baby will keep sucking till baby is hungry. So she or he will produce that enough milk for that side, as per her appetite. A lot of time what happens, if you don't keep one breast for each baby, then sometime mothers forget, and they will try to feed more, sometime on one breast more, or one baby will feed more on both sides, and the other baby will fill. So I feel that we should keep, if there are two babies, just keep one breast for each side, each baby, and then let baby kind of stimulate the breast, so their supply increases. But yeah, we have triplets also. Actually, even triplets are doing really well on mother's milk, just exclusive breastfeeding. you know uh, that latch part is very important, latching, like how you bring baby to latch the mother. One thing is very important, you extend the head and make sure that the nair of the baby is against the nipple and not the tip. It should not be tip, it should be nair. Okay, so when you do the nair part, that lower area is automatically in front of the mouth. Okay, so that's important. Okay. Anything else? Samya, do you have any question? Thank you so much, Dr. Selvin. Coming from you, it's I really appreciate.
Ma'am, I
Samya?
don't have any questions correct.
Okay, okay, but you understood where the issues are.
Yeah, I understood it.
Yeah, Dr.
Hello, Dr. Rupal.
Yeah, Dr. Aarti.
Yeah. Hi. Just one question. Some of the mothers ask me when they finish feeding after half an hour, how long should I wait to feed for the next time? So how long does it take to produce a milk?
Yeah. So this is a very good question, Dr. Aarti. Just day before yesterday, I had one mother, and this baby was referred to me by one of the colleague in Andhra Pradesh, and this baby had not gained weight for almost 3 or 4 weeks, almost 5 weeks. Baby had not gained hardly any weight, 200 grams. So once we taught proper latching to the baby was kind of wanted to come on the breast continuously for 3 hours, 4 hours, because once baby realized that baby was getting more milk, baby was catching up, right? So it all depends upon the different phase. Now, many times, as you know, that there are different phase when the baby start increasing in length, right? So that's your 2 weeks, your 6 weeks, and your 3 months of period when baby is putting on a lot of length, and that's when baby will try to feed more. So I don't go too much by that set goals or set standards, but ऐसे ही करना है. I tell mothers that if baby is hungry, if baby is going through growth phase, baby will feed more, but I want to make sure that baby should not graze. Now, what is grazing? Grazing means mother will breastfeed little bit on one side, say a little bit of fore milk, then little bit of fore milk on this side, so that hind milk is not going. Now, hind milk is very important for satiety. So if baby has enough hind milk, they will not feel hungry every half an hour. So that I teach mothers that to completely empty breast, feed properly within, say, in that one feeding session. Don't put the baby to sleep after just feeding on one side. You feed the baby very perfectly, and then if baby is hungry again, say within half an hour. And a lot of time what happens, baby cry doesn't mean they're hungry. There are different kinds of cries, and that mother will realize. A lot of time what happens, baby they like to be held. So if you hold the baby will keep quiet. If you just kind of sing the song, like a lot of time colicky baby. Now what happens in a colicky baby, especially in the evening time, they have this colic baby will cry for 3 hours, 4 hours. That was my MD thesis actually in US, colicky baby. And that time I didn't have a baby, so I didn't understand the implication of colic in those babies, But unfortunately, what happened that my daughter, when she was born, she had a severe colic for 5 months, severe colic. So what would happen from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., she would cry continuously. And as a mother, you feel, oh my God, what have I done? Whether baby's not feeding well, so a lot of time what happens, mother, as soon as baby cries, they put the baby to breast. Baby will feed a little bit, again they'll cry. That cry is not coming from empty stomach. That cry is colic cry. So I think it's important to teach mothers what are these different cries, how to completely empty or completely finish the breastfeeding session in that time period, and so all that will help. But it's I can't give one answer to that question because there are a lot of different causes of crying, But I hope I could answer your question.
Yeah, that was really helpful. Thank you, Doctor.
Sure.
Dr. Nirja Puranik from Indore. I'm an obstetrician.
Yeah,
Hello.
hi, Dr. Nirja.
Yeah.
Thanks for attending.
Yeah. So, it was an excellent presentation. And I just fully agree with you that we just tell the importance of breastfeeding and everything else. So what the mother do is, if the other breast is dripping, so they just change the breast and they just go on giving the fore milk, and the baby will not thrive. This is one point which is very common. And the other, what do you think? I, as an obstetrician, think the pediatricians are not they are not cooperating with the obstetrician, because I always prefer that the baby should be skin to skin within 1 hour.
Absolutely.
If the immediate breastfeeding is not important, is that not that important as the immediate putting the baby on skin to skin? And they are very much bothered about the vitamin K injection, cleaning the baby, then weighing the baby, and then examining the baby. What's your opinion?
Yeah. I
So,
absolutely
yeah.
agree with you, Dr. Nirja. I totally agree with you. And for that note, Dr. Nirja, what we can do now, what I've started doing is in my program, we have created Pregnancy Club. Okay. So during ANC time, we
Yeah.
teach mothers all the technicality of breastfeeding, importance of breast crawl, okay, and importance of golden hour. Nirja, what I'll do is I'll take another session, scientific session on golden hour for all obstetrician if you want, because that's one of my very favorite session where I talk about the scientific science.
But I want for pediatrician rather than
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
BPNI is really trying very hard, but
Yeah, I want pediatricians to get involved because yesterday only I have delivered a baby and my pediatrician is after my head that she is having a borderline glucose, means her blood glucose is going down, and the attendants are ringing me that madam, we are just giving the breast milk only, and our pediatrician says that the baby is having low sugar. So what to do? What is the criteria for this hypoglycemia?
yeah.
We are so much scared
Yes.
because we can't take the responsibility of that hypoglycemia. What's your opinion about the
No,
hypoglycemia?
So Nirja, you know what? These babies are born in ketosis. You know that, right? So
Yeah.
baby
Yes.
has good amount of fat, and the colostrum is so high in protein and fat. It's basically predominantly protein and fat. So babies are born in ketosis. So if the baby is getting a lot of the energy, even for brain, 30% comes from the ketones. Because
Yeah.
again, so I feel that there is, you're absolutely right, there's a lot of fear, but Nirja, what I focus on is the proper latch. So if within half an hour or so, if you can get that baby to in a breast crawl position only, if you can get the proper latch, and if mother's breast gets suckled, immediately the colostrum comes. Okay, so get that colostrum in that baby within as soon as possible. Don't even wait for an hour, just right away as soon as
This
you.
I have done. Yeah, the one for which I'm talking to you. The yesterday I did same. No,
Right.
day before yesterday. This is the third day. So on the third day, they are ringing me that the hypoglycemia is there. She is going towards hypoglycemia. Her sugar is 58. So in this, we the obstetricians, we are so much scared that we
Yeah.
can't take the responsibility of this hypoglycemia,
Right,
and we are just trying hard to. And she is also breastfeeding very nicely,
Yeah.
and we have utilized the golden hour also.
Yeah.
But what to do with this? And yes, one more thing, she has lost weight also,
Yeah.
substantial loss of weight, but they are not considering the IV fluids which we give during cesarean section. So the
Yeah.
baby weight can be little higher side,
Right.
and she must have lost it the weight within 2 days.
Right.
So
Right.
that
But the latch,
how to
the
control?
baby's passing urine now, in a sense that
Yeah,
baby.
yeah,
Yeah.
passing urine and
Pass
stooling
stool,
also.
stooling also.
Yeah,
Yeah, and a
yeah,
good latch, no.
stooling,
Just make
good
sure
latch.
that latch is good, and then at least the frequency is important. In first 24
Yeah,
to 48 hours, that frequency is important.
yeah.
So
She
get
is
that.
latching, I think, more than 12 times.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and lower lateral latch. So
Yes.
also, if the latch is good and the frequency is good, na, Dr. Nirja, then I wouldn't worry. I mean, I wouldn't worry at all for this. As long as baby is not premature, baby is not
She's
LBW, low birth weight.
39 weeks.
Yeah.
39 weeks
And then
and
if baby is
cesarean
not,
was done.
and a baby is not very kind of, mother is not diabetic, or, if baby is not over
No,
this thing
not
also.
at all.
Large for just
No.
LGA babies also become hypoglycemic. But if the LGA baby is not there, I would not worry too much about the glucose. But
Yeah,
Nirja, I think what we need to do
we
as
have to have a joint session of
yes,
pediatricians and obstetrician. Yes.
I think
So
Dr.
I'm
Arun.
so happy that yeah, you are a pediatrician and I'm listening to a pediatrician. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are very few pediatricians. I think there are few on our group also right now.
Dr. Arun Gupta is one of them. I'm
Yeah.
just fascinated. 25 years back, he came to Indore and he gave the 3 days workshop. He took 3 days workshop. Yes,
Yeah.
it was a very nice session.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Nirja. But thanks for being there, really.
Yeah. So nice. Yeah. Nice of you.
So, any other question? Anything else? Dr. Rawat, thank you for attending this session. I can see Dr. Rawat, Dr. Alka.
Yes, Rupal, it is always a pleasure
Yeah,
to learn. There's so much about such a simple thing, but there is so much to learn.
yeah. And you know, sir, I will come with you now. For all the training, I'll come because I think it's important to teach all the skills. And, you know, literally in our program, we could bring all the SAM children out just by using the techniques, you know.
My dream is that with 85-90% average in the institutions now, and breastfeeding within 1 hour, the number is still very low, 40,
Yes.
45.
Yes.
That is some really worrying that we are not giving importance to something which is really very important.
Absolutely, sir. And you know, the institutional delivery is very high now, you know. And in fact, I wanted to tell Dr. Nirja that the C-section rate has gone up like crazy, and because we get all the data from all over India at Sitara, IIT Bombay, and we are seeing that institutional delivery has gone up, C-section rate has gone up, but your first hour breast milk has gone down. So early initiation is not happening, you know. So we should definitely.
That is a really, the scene must change. That is my dream actually.
We'll do it.
That should happen.
We'll do it, sir. We'll do it.
Thank you. Very well presented. Very well done. Excellent.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, Dr. Sunita.
Hello, Rupal. Nice session. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend the whole thing. But, you know, this when you're talking about cesarean sections, the amount of children who are getting, amount of mothers who are getting whenever you ask them, why are you getting a C-section done? You know, they look blank.
Yeah.
They are not able to say why they got a C-section done.
Yeah.
You know, then when you will ask them a few more questions, then they come out with yes. So many a time, I think the mothers themselves or even the other attendants are not part of the decision on why a C-section has to be done.
Yeah.
This is a C-section itself is one of the major causes of delay in initiation of breastfeeding.
Absolutely.
So, and along with that, many other problems also because of the C-section, you know.
Yeah.
So we should also worry about that. You know?
Yeah.
We should, when we're talking about breastfeeding or about why the C-section is done, and many a times, you know, unfortunately, as a pediatrician, I often find I am not convinced that there was a need for a C-section.
Right. Absolutely. No. And I think Dr. Nirja will also agree that, you know, many times now, even the tier 2 city and tier 3 cities have much higher C-section rate now, you know.
Yes,
and,
definitely, yeah.
Right, Dr. Nirja, I think we should also take this forward. To FOSG and other, you know, organization, and basically kind of, and if you want data, I have data from all over India. I can tell you that which area has high C-section rate, which district has high C-section, urban, rural. So I can help you with that data, you know. But
so that would be good if you. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah. No. So, you know, if we have data, then we can actually kind of talk to government and probably FOSG body over there. But, you know, I also agree with Dr. Nirja's concern that, you know, even with normal delivery, babies are not being breastfed within an hour. That breast crawl is not happening. So I think everybody has to come together and make a noise or just do something because, you know, I'm at a receiving end. Like receiving end in a sense that I'm getting a lot of mothers from urban elite class to poor mothers from tribal and rural areas, and everywhere is the same issue, you know. So definitely, I think we should take it forward, you know. So,
Rupal, very good session and very practical to the real, to the point. and the more important points you touched. It's really good.
Thank you, Dr.
Yes,
Alka. Thank you so much. Okay, so I think
I want to mention one thing, one little change in your presentation.
Yes.
That nowadays we don't, because of the development of this ultrasound techniques and everything, now we've come to know that there is nothing like sinuses which are sitting beside this areola. It's the whole of the ducts, they are all going and opening into the nipple. So I have seen your presentation previously also, and which you have shared in our BPNI group. So I just wanted to mention that we have to correct this, that the whole of the this duct, they are going right at the nipple and they are just opening. There are nothing like sinuses which are present in the areola.
Yeah, but you know, one thing I've noticed that in our program, what we noticed that babies who had few things like 4 points, which are very important for us because you know we had this sophisticated software, right? So we were looking at the weight gain. So babies who had 120-degree mouth opening, okay, babies who had lower areolar latch, so predominantly the whole lower areola in the mouth, you know, so the location of the lower lip at the border of areola or beyond that, you know, and that extremely close attachment. So the deep attachment where the lips were not seen or the chin was not seen, those babies were gaining just amazing kind of weight gain versus because you know what we have done, Dr. Nirja.
Latch,
So what we have done, you know, Dr. Nirja, I have come up with this WHO modified assessment form. Okay, so WHO has a breastfeeding assessment form. Okay, so usme there are just very few points of 4 point of latch, 4 point of this, 4 point of that, you know, but on that we have added our points, which kind of we felt that it was whether it was helping mothers or not. And with that, so we have almost, I think, 30 points that healthcare worker can see positive or negative, positive, negative, you know. And in that, in fact, I'm going to try to publish that paper also, where we have analyzed 6,000 children data, you know, and basically those few points in that form, if it was correct, those babies were gaining just amazing weight. So my focus is not so much on where the duct is or where the area. I mean, that again too much of that's too much of science. You know what I mean? Like my focus is the skill part.
No, I was just mentioning that. Because
So it's more of a it's
yes,
more of a skill part.
I see. Yeah.
Okay.
Very nice presentation.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay. So if there are no other questions, I'll end this session. And I again would like to thank everybody to attend, and I'll come up with some other topic and, you know, probably have something so quick, you know. But this is all again coming from a lot of experience, a lot of data, lot of, you know, we had presented our data in World Breastfeeding Conference also. So, so thank you so much, and see you soon, guys. Thanks. Thanks for attending.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.